Hello, my name is Aaron Cunningham. I'm the Director of Research and Analytics at Pensions and Investments, and I'm delighted to welcome Alexandra Christiansen, the Lead Portfolio Manager of Climate Engagement Strategy at Nordea Asset Management. Hello.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we're going to have a very fun 13-question interview in anticipation of our conference this November in The Hague. But before we get started, could you tell us a little bit about your role at the organization and Nordea as an asset manager?
Absolutely. So I'm part of the Sustainable Thematic team in the Fundamental Equities division at Nordea. And I would say that our edge in the market is having that climate expertise and really understanding these long-term sustainability trends better than the pack. So I run this climate engagement transition strategy, which is all about investing in the energy transition and the opportunities that present themselves from that. I'm also part of the NAM UK board, help with strategy in that part of the division. And yeah, really excited to be joining, and thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to the discussions on the day.
All right, perfect. Well, set a few ground rules for this exciting interview. As I mentioned, there are 13 questions. You can only answer with one word. However, there are 3 exceptions to that. You can give me no comment. You can add a clarification. And if you think better of it, you can change one of your responses.
Okay, I like it.
You ready to jump in?
Let's do it.
All right, the first question is, what is the biggest theme in your sector right now?
Yeah, so as I said, I run the strategy focused on the energy transition. And a big question now is the energy transition slowing down? Is the Trump administration and the change in energy policy meaning that the opportunity set is different now? And that maybe investing in climate themes doesn't make as much sense as it used to? And I would say, absolutely not. The energy transition may be changing in terms of its pace around the world, but these are long-term structural themes underlined by, fundamental drivers in technology, in consumer behavior, in cost competitiveness. Policy obviously plays an important part, but in our mind, these are long-term trends that you cannot ignore, and those fundamental shifts in capital allocation across our investment universe is still ongoing. So that's my answer. Is the energy transition still relevant? Yes, it is.
Yeah, still relevant. Okay, relevant. Perfect. And you kind of touched on this, but what is one thing happening in the wider world in terms of your sector that you oversee that does keep you up at night?
Yeah, it is exactly what I just said, this energy policy debate. But I think it's the same as any equity investor out there, or any actually fundamental investor out there. When the fundamental backdrop shifts and changes, our job as investors is to understand what that means for the universe that we're investing in, what that means for the fundamentals of the businesses that we're looking at and investing in, and what the changed range of outcomes is. So it keeps me up at night in terms of the uncertainty and the headlines that you wake up to every day, but it's absolutely part of the job, and our team and our process is very well equipped to deal with this. And actually, we've had great performance this year because we've been able to take advantage of these dislocations and inefficiencies in the market and continue to invest through our process.
Right. Uncertainty equals opportunity. Love
Exactly.
And you did mention long-term in your opening comments. So what are you most optimistic about over the long term, over the next decade in terms of your sector?
Yeah, so obviously I'm in equities, so I have to talk my own book, and I think that it's a really important part of your asset allocation as an asset owner. But I actually think the case for European equities is really exciting at the moment, both in the near term and the longer term. This is a sector that, you're starting to see an advantage in terms of the incremental improvement in economic growth, in policy. And don't forget that the relative valuation of a lot of the companies in the European equity space versus other parts of the world, namely the US, has been very different. It's been a lot cheaper. So I'm really excited about that pocket of the market, and that's actually reflected in our investments and the ideas that we want to play into. These European names are really exciting.
Perfect. So one word, European-equities, and we are good to go. All right.
Yes.
In terms of pessimism or an opportunity, what are you going to go short over the next decade?
You see, I'm a long only investor, so I can't short.
What are you going to not allocate to then?
Yeah. What are we not going to allocate to? I think there's certain technologies in the energy transition space that we are realizing are becoming less viable than we thought would be true at the start of this transition, of this journey. Green hydrogen is a good example where actually the opportunity set there is looking quite tricky, and so we're very cautious about any transition plans that have that as part of their levers for decarbonisation.
Interesting. So private cars super expensive, and there's nowhere to fill up, as we've seen some of those challenges.
Yes.
Perfect. Now, broadening the questions out a little bit, what's the biggest opportunity you see broadly for institutional investors right now?
I mean, I think a debate that I've been having with the investors in our strategy and prospective clients in this sustainability world, right, in this field of climate and the transition, etc., is are you still being a good fiduciary by investing in this space? So fine, you're helping to make the world a better place, maybe with your capital allocation, but are you also delivering on your fiduciary duty to generate good returns? And I think that that's a big debate, but it's also a great opportunity for those managers to really differentiate there, because it absolutely is our focus. Alpha generation is the genesis of this idea. As I said at the start, our edge is understanding these fundamental drivers in sustainability better than the market and investing accordingly. So I think that's a really interesting opportunity to be contrarian in the face of that pushback, and really be selective of the right managers that can do that.
Perfect. Well, it's a huge debate. ESG has certainly seen a lot of swings over the past couple of years, so it's great to hear those lively discussions going on with clients.
Yeah.
Speaking of lively conversations, what's the buzzword for 2025 that you're hearing the most?
Ooh, I think in my space, it's this concept of real economy decarbonization rather than just tilting your portfolio. So a lot of asset owners made a commitment to decarbonize their portfolios, and then the way many have sought to implement that has been to just sell down your heavy emitting names and buy some more tech, right? But have you actually changed anything in the real economy? Have you participated in that real world decarbonization effect? And this is a really interesting debate that I'm having, and I think that we are really true to, right? Our starting point of emissions in the strategy is much higher than the index, but that's because we want to capture that delta in the real economy, and we're really starting to deliver on that. So that's a really interesting buzzword, I think, real world decarbonization.
I love that. Alpha and actual change that we need for the world. Perfect. Now we're going to ask you to break out your crystal ball. What is a gray swan that you can see coming? So it have a huge impact on the investing world, but it is a very low probability. But again, what is something that does keep you up at night in terms of big impact, low probability?
You know, I say green swan. This is something that I'm thinking of that is in this gray swan territory, but I actually think increasingly it's not a gray swan. It's the physical effects of climate change, right? And whether the businesses in our universe and our general economy is prepared for this. So, you know, before we were talking about a 1.5 degree scenario and what that might mean if we can get there. Now it looks like we're not going to achieve that, and we're starting to see the physical implications of wildfires and flooding and you know, all of these secondary perils that are really starting to impact businesses. And at the moment it's maybe more specific to certain regions, but what if this becomes more systematic? What if this has really broad implications for worker safety and health, or supply chain disruption, or things like this that we haven't thought about? So that's definitely something that keeps me up at night.
Well, hopefully that is a low probability of event, but unfortunately tragedy after tragedy seems like maybe a little bit higher.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so anticipation of the upcoming conference, you'll be joining us, you'll be on panel as well. We'd love to get to know you a little bit better as an individual, if that's okay.
Yes, definitely.
So question number 9. how would your colleagues, your coworkers describe you in one word?
Oh, in one word, dedicated.
All right.
Dedicated to the cause.
Perfect. What is one fun fact about yourself you'd like to share with us, or some sort of interesting hobby that you do in your free time?
Well, actually, I love long distance running. I'm really into that. My uncle is he's old now, but he was in his day a very famous athlete, Bruce Fordyce, and so it's maybe in the blood. But it's difficult for me to put it in because of my job that takes up all my time and I'm passionate about. But also I have 3 very young children. So you'll often see me running to the office, running back from the office, running to a meeting, multitasking for my training.
All right, now in one word, we...
Sorry, go on.
Doing 26.2 or 100 miles? What is long distance?
Oh, sorry, marathon we're talking. Although my uncle was an ultra marathon runner. But yeah, 26.2 is my limit, I think.
26.2 and 100 in the family. Absolutely love it. How would you describe yourself in one word?
I would say authentic. I try and be myself and stay true to that. And I've always been like that, unashamedly.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. And then number 13, a self-interested question. What are you looking forward to the most about November 4th through 6th at the P&I World Pension Summit in The Hague?
I'm looking forward to the debate. I really love meeting intelligent counterparts and challenging my assumptions and my views. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to hearing the incredible speakers. I've seen the lineup and I'm really impressed. And I'm looking forward to getting a deeper understanding of what asset owners are really expecting of managers like myself. So yeah, it's going to be a great event. And thank you again for having me.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much for having a very fun 13-question, one-word answer interview. And we look forward to seeing you this November in The Hague.
Thank you so much.